As the next speaker, I would like to announce Frank Heineberg from RTL Deutschland, so RTL Germany, and he will tell us something about the implementation of HbbTV-TA and ADB2-TA. Frank, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Martin. Yes, as Martin mentioned, I'm from RTL, the commercial broadcaster in Germany. We are based in Cologne, and I want to talk about the implementation of HbbTV-TA at RTL and of ADB2 and TA. And I can promise two interesting announcements in my speech. Addressable TV, or ATV, combines linear TV with digital advertising technology. Since 2019, RTL and smartclip have been executing substitution of ad spots and ad breaks on the basis of HbbTV 1.5 technology, starting with one of our smaller channels and then expanding it to all our relevant channels of the RTL Media Group. And the distribution happens via satellite and cable in SD and HD quality. So far this is really successful, but it's limited due to a couple of things which I would explain now. So when you want to replace a single spot in an ad break by a broadband clip, actually we are limited due to a lack of signaling and switching accuracy. And the reason for this is why ATV via HbbTV works, but it's not standardized. And so the way we solve this is by replacing the whole ad break, and therefore we have to plan starting zones and landing zones of a couple of seconds each in the linear broadcast, and then add a static tag to the ad break, and then it fits into the slot. It works well, but however it requires major testing efforts, and therefore we have a huge receiver zoo of 110 devices in our lab to test the receiver capabilities, and in the end we do a whitelisting to see and to define which user agents are capable to perform the switch. And of course this technology works, but it's limited in reach and scalability. But there's a solution. It's called targeted advertising, promising seamless and precise substitution of advertising in linear television. And so far, RTL and smartclip have been working on the implementation of HbbTA and DVB-TA for roughly 1.5 years, and I want to go deeper in the implementation phase now. And also ADB2 and TA is in our mind to extend the reach of HbbTV and TA with the use of audio and video watermarks. So after the first initial studies, we designed a kind of harmonized signaling for TA and legacy receiver master plan, because it's very important to see the whole end-to-end chain, because it's not just a marker, it's not just an app, it's the whole system starting from the playout and the various stream event and various markers, and ending at the ad server provided by smartclip. And in blue you see the legacy devices, the stream events for legacy devices, 1.5. And in orange, we added targeted advertising in our system with stream events and TV timeline. This will all be brought together to one system. And when we just focus on the playout, we had two main considerations for this. The first was backwards compatibility, because we don't want to lose any reach we already have on the legacy devices. So it's, of course, interesting to maintain the stream event generator for legacy devices. The second bullet is future-proof. Apart from TA, we also consider and already do practice ATV distribution paths like server-side ad substitution, and in the future ADB2 watermarks. And for this, we want to make sure that the same signal from the playout center would feed a set of markers which we can use for each of these ATV distributions. So far the playout, and with regard to the apps and the receiver, we want to make use of the biggest improvements to our mind, the TV timeline and the new fast media switch API. On the smartclip side, an SDK for our HbbTV Live app has to be developed, which can differentiate between legacy and TA. stream events. And then we decided to start with one use case, one usage scenario. It's a replacement of a 20-second ad substitution using HbbTV-TA Profile 2. We still use 4 black frames between each spot and therefore have a landing zone of 160 milliseconds. This is the theory part. Now we are looking at the practical implementation, how to bring TA on air. The first thing we did was to order or to develop a test application for HbbTV-TA, which we shared pretty early with interested manufacturers so that they could test their lab TA devices against our app, which was corresponding to the use case I just mentioned. And then afterwards, we made major upgrades to the playout system with all the signalization issues I just described. This is always sensitive because any change to the playout system is somehow like an open heart surgery. You have to be very careful with all these systems. But in the end, it worked. And since when we received the first ADB2 capable devices from the manufacturers, a longer period of testing, error reporting, debugging, learning curves on all sides and iterations happened until we finally, in the end, achieved a successful TA implementation. And here we are today, and I'm very proud to announce that we are actually since Monday live with HbbTV-TA, and I think we are the very first. It's on our smaller channel, RTL Up, and I would provide a small video which shows the first ad we recorded last week on the live system, and please enjoy the seamless transition. On the right side, you see the HbbTV-TA replacement.
Zu Risiken und Nebenwirkungen lesen Sie die Packungsbeilage und fragen Sie Ihren Arzt oder Apotheker.
Mauern, das Kaubonbon.
So as you could see, there is no landing zone, no starting zone, no interruption, nothing was cut off. It's from the consumer experience, it's a boring demo because it's like linear broadcast, and this is what we wanted to achieve. It's a precise switching behavior, and this is the start of our rollout then to the other channels I mentioned earlier. We start with RTL Up, and in a couple of weeks, when it's stable, we would roll out it to the other channels as well. So some conclusions from the machine room, some learnings. Of course, there are a couple of challenges from the broadcaster side. Of course, all this setting up of the markers of the TME timeline generation, finding the right hardware for this was a challenge. From the software development, I learned that the debugging features of the fast media switch API are a bit limited. And of course, we have some limitations in the CAM HbbTV-TA implementations. From the manufacturer side, I learned that the biggest issue, of course, was the frame accuracy, was receiver capabilities in terms of the frame accuracy to manage this very tough switching times. Of course, from our perspective, there's no alternative because switching from ad to ad allows nothing to be lost. But finally, it works. I think all in all we can say, given the fact that there might be also other use cases from other broadcasters in different countries, we see that TA, the same applies for ADB2, is of course not easy to implement, and the harmonization of TA requirements and implementation guidelines would be quite useful for the scene. Andre will talk about this in detail later. So the last slide is on ADB2-TA, a pretty new specification. We learned about some details today from Jason. So of course, RTL and also other broadcasters in Germany, like ProSiebenSat.1 and ARD, are very interested in using this technology to expand the reach of HbbTV and TA with the use of audio and video watermarks. And this is the second announcement. We are very proud that in the German TV platform we could publish an ADB2 white paper this week. It's available in printed version exclusively for the symposium. You find them down at the reception, and you can also scan them to download them. This task force has been founded last year. It's chaired by RTL and RBB to define market requirements for the German markets for the introduction of ADB2 and TA in Germany. And we started with a common understanding of the market potential. Up to 30% of the TV households in Germany cannot be reached by HbbTV at the moment because the TV signal is received by a set-top box which is legacy or non-DAS capable. And this corresponds to the number of 12 million households. So this is a huge potential from our point. And therefore, the idea was to have this white paper to define first use cases, both of public and commercial broadcasters, to propose solution for the complicated edge cases which the standard brings with him, and to propose options and other topics which might not be perfectly solved in the standard but need some clarification. Last but not least, the report, the ADB2 white paper, includes a test report on an ADB2 on-air test, which we did with a couple of partners and with the help of Verens in Germany. We recorded about 50 to 60 streams and tested the robustness of audio and video watermarks. So the main message of the test is that audio and video watermarks work on all relevant distribution channels and support the market-relevant use cases as described in the white paper. So this is the end of my presentation. If you need more details and want to get more feedback on the white paper or want to give us feedback, please contact Klaus Merkel or me on this. And we hope that this white paper can help the industry to find the right settings and to improve the start of ADB2 and to launch panels pretty soon that we can also include this in our strategies. Thank you very much for your attention.